Hello, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, That Creepy Reading, and today we got Crappypastas. Yes, the Crappypastas, a show that takes your childhood and trademarks it and makes it terrible, just like EA. Round of applause, everyone. Anyway, I would like to quickly mention that we got a little bit of a special guest here today. His name is Let's Reads, and you'll hear him during the middle story and our ending review. With that being said, the three stories we're doing is Sonic the Hedgehog, the Craving of Death. And then we are following that up with Sonic Adventure, DeadX. Oh god, that's giving me cancer. And then we got Splatoon Agent 3's Deaths. As of course, we don't read the stories before we put them on the show. We just look at the names and we see which ones gives us the most cancer. So with that being said, let's begin. In the mailbox, I got a package from a friend who was an employee of Nintendo that is labeled Splatoon Beta. And there was a note that said, "Take this out to your backyard and bury it." I wondered why. Did he do something unto... What the fuck am I reading? Did he do something untoward with their game? It was a game where you play as Inklings and participated in turf wars with each other, and then rescue the great Zapfish from DJ Octavio, the leader of the Octarians. Do rank battles at level 10, and they do idol groups called Squad Sisters. Carelessly, I open game. Carelessly, I open game. That's going on a plaque on my wall. And put it into my Wii U. When it opened the Wii U booted the game. That is also going on a plaque. It started normally. I got the Inkling creation screen. However, the music that was playing was creepy. What the fuck is creepy music? Tell me what creepy music sounds like. Because if you just say music is creepy, I don't get, is it like, because that's pretty creepy to me. Is it a man going like, I don't know, because that's also creepy to me if that was in a video game. If you just say your music's creepy, guess what? It doesn't make it creepy, you fucking bitches. It was the notorious background moans that you hear when you defeat a boss in game. When I got to the tutorial, the sky was midnight with the moon in the sky. Some of the graphics are blocky and unfinished. Next, when I got to the fuck you, to listen to the news from the great Zapfish has vanished. To listen to the news that the great Zapfish has vanished. Something was odd in the TV news of the Squid Sisters. They both had sad faces, and their conversation was different. "Marie, what's the matter?" Callie, the retard, said. "I don't know, nothing. It was just that I forgot I'm doing a Borat impression. I just forgot everything else," Marie said. "Sorry, we are too sad to announce our stages," Callie said. "I remember," Marie said. Wow, this is some riveting dialogue. Marie said, Callie said. You know what Callie said? He said what Marie said. "Stay sad," both of them said in the most retarded voice I could muster up that didn't involve He-Man. I knew I was wrong since they weren't supposed to say this. What? I knew I was wrong because they weren't supposed to say this. They then turned off the screen and I was able to control myself. The music was playing was creepy. The music was playing was creepy. Redundant. Especially those background noises that you get from defeating the bosses in this game. I noticed that the area was loading to multiplayer battles was collapsed. All of the other Inklings and jellyfish people and their ink plots had sad faces and some of them were scared, probably due to the fact that this story sucks! I decided to go to Octo Valley and go rescue the great Zapfish from the great DJ Octavio. That sounds like some sort of like bad My Little Pony musician. Octo Valley was currently glitched up with everything in the stage in disorder. I noticed Captain Cuttlefish, the person who was supposed to be there, was not there at all. Next, I noticed that I went to the first stage and I noticed something was very wrong. The Octarians were supposed to be there, were not there at all. Learn how to write, people! Whenever I splatted something, my inkling would look back at me with a frowning face. He probably had diabetes and wanted me to check his insulin, but I don't give it! When I got to the area where you rescued the Zapfish, I noticed a message instead. Sorry, all Zapfish have been taken away and turned into electricity. Okay. I don't know Splatoon very well, but I think even if I did, I would not find that creepy. I just find that really retarded. Next stage, I noticed something was supposed to be octoling the stage, but what I found out was that the octolings were replaced with rabbits from the earlier Splatoon concept. I got fed up with this. The rabbits were invincible, and I could not kill them with my ink. They had rollers and splatter shots, and they inked all over the place. They inked all over the place. I have a bad mind. I could do nothing to stop them. When they killed me, the game faded out, and this message appeared. Splat Town! No, I just said splat. This story's almost finished. However, on the background, I heard some creepy sounds you would get every time you defeat a boss in this game. A few seconds later, instead of returning to Octo Valley, this message appeared. Agent 3 had been finally terminated. Bring him to Octarian Research Lab. However, I teleported to Inkpolis, and I thought to myself, am I Agent 4 now? Next, I noticed the road to Octo Valley was condemned. Everywhere was condemned. Criminal Origins. Buy on Steam at origin.com. Meaning that I cannot go inside the cooler heads because Uplay is preventing me from getting Ammo Knight's Battle Dojo. I don't even give a shit. Fuck this story. Everywhere else, I noticed that the Squid Sisters were crying. Were they crying about Agent 3's death? When I went to their window and zoomed in for 10 seconds, Callie jumped towards me, though the window was strangled me with psychotic fear on her. Callie jumped through me, the window, and strangled me with psychotic fear on her. Brilliant, brilliant. Dude. Edgar Allan Poe would be like, he would just be like, I can't top that, you know? I mean, like, fuck the Telltale Heart, you know? Screw that story. The cast of Amontillado, it doesn't even compare with the image of Marie, you know, who jumped through window at me and then strangled me with psychotic face on her. Nothing can beat that. Because it's Shakespearean. It's Shakespearean if Shakespeare was a fat middle-aged man, you know, with like a ponytail, you know, and a diabetic. All right, let's stop talking about type 2 diabetes and let's finish the story so I can please kill myself. But this message came up after a few seconds with the screen turned black after Marie hit me with the psychotic face and hammer. To be continued. I hope to God the stories have been continued. This background was the murky blue background of Inkpolis, except there was no one there. I closed the game and I knew why Nintendo had this demo. I painted Splatoon to be darker and edgier than it needed to be. And I knew what I needed to do. I took the game, got my shovel, whacked the disc, and buried it in pieces in my backyard. Wow! Someone's getting a little violent with this game. He whacked that disc off, you know. He was just like, man, this disc, it just needs to be... However, a few days later, I got a note from some guy who said that he was a great friend of the person who created the hack. He stated his idea was to make a spin-off when they failed to rescue the great Zapfish. Unfortunately, they got rejected and had to get rid of it. Can you please inject some insulin into your wrist? You know, get some glasses and get a keyboard that isn't missing half its keys. And just type something that isn't about Splatoon or this idea. Like get the delete key back on your, keyboard, and then just delete this. Thank you. Thank you. Please so much. I love you. It got rejected and he had to get rid of it. He stated that they told him that to get things out of sight. In fact, maybe some ideas better left forgotten. Maybe some ideas better left forgotten. Please just, can you find a delete key? Like, you don't even need to find a delete key. Just like shove your thumb, where the delete key or the backspace key used to be, and hope that your body completes the circuit. Oh my god, that is terrible. We'll discuss this more later. In the meantime, I hope you enjoy Sonic Adventure DeadX, narrated by Let's Read.
Hello, my name is Jake, and I want to share a story about a game I loved to play during my childhood. Well, not really a story. What I will share with you is an experience I had playing this game. The game is Sonic Adventures DX. Oh shit, on my testicles. The first time I bought this game was from a Nintendo GameCube. The game I knew and loved dearly was like this. I sped through Sonic levels, raced against Sonic using Tails, and found broken pieces of the Master Emerald with Knuckles. When I played Big the Cat, it was pretty fun. But I was never into fishing. Playing as Amy was alright, but the robot that chased you throughout the level scared me a few times. As E102 Gamma, I went through all the levels, shooting up everything. Of course I have to mention the Chow Gardens, breeding and racing Chow. I always looked at those like little babies. Back then I wanted a new game that was coming out, so I sold it to GameStop to buy another game. A couple years later, I found Sonic DX for the PC. It was marked down to $5 at the time. I brought it in then and there. After installing the game, playing it, nostalgia hit me immediately. I remembered so much from the game. Soon after beating it off many times, I left it alone for a while and went into other games like Team Fortress 2 and so on. Some time had passed, and I went back to Sonic's DX, his big DX. I wanted to learn how to speed run for Twitch, so I started the game and practiced glitches and shortcuts. I figured out how to skip the first level where you have to save Tails. Soon after skipping level 1, I jumped straight to the level where you go to the carnival. At that point, my game started doing small glitches, like Amy talking in Japanese. It was odd because I knew I didn't change the language settings. Needless to say, I went to my menu to check, and what would you know? It had changed. It swapped back out to English and got back into the game. After I fixed it and beat the level, everything seemed normal. That was until I went to the Red Mountain stage. I started the level like normal, and going through I saw that a few enemies didn't notice me like the monkeys that normally throw bombs. They seemed to be still and were just sitting there. I ran past them trying to make good time, but still most of the enemies were unmoving. I figured it was just a glitch since it's a port of an old game. On this stage, you have to get out of the volcano before it fills with magma. I noticed the ringmen in the locked cages are acting different than before. Normally, they stand there with a slight bouncing animation, but this time they were banging on the cages like they wanted to get out. They made me stop and think, why are they doing that? Maybe skipping the first level to unlock a hidden animation or something. I waited for a moment, but nothing really changed, so I finished the level. After Red Mountain, I began the Sky Chase stage. It was odd though, because the cutscene didn't activate. It immediately started the level, and Sonic wasn't riding the tornado, which was damaged and there was no driver. I completed the level and minus the glitches like no dialogue, everything played normal. I knew Eggman's ship was next, but like the previous level, the cutscene didn't play either. I hadn't pressed any buttons for it to skip, but I pressed on as normal. Shortly thereafter, I reached the Sky Dick stage. By the game, I became unresponsive for a few minutes. I had a heart attack, and then started back up. I noticed that things were missing like rings and capsules and suppositories. I figured I must have broken the game trying to exploit glitches. I broke it, I continued the level looking for the end, but most of the enemies were gone, and the big cannon wasn't firing. So I waited, and then decided to quit the level, but I found that the pause menu was gone, but the game still paused. When I had unpaused the game, it was lagging and jerking vigorously. I went to jump to a platform, and had died in mid-air, even though I hadn't hit anything, though that maybe the enemies were invisible or glitch. When I returned to the checkpoint, I noticed that Sonic's hands were gone, and upon further inspection, they were. It was an odd sight. But no idea, this guy's going into some detail here. Well, it was an odd sight, but I decided to continue. Oh my god! And they were still gone after looking twice. Instead of going to the next level, it loaded the entranceway of Windy Valley. I thought to myself, "Jeez, maybe I'll stop practicing and play some of the other characters." I went to the story select menu, but something was wrong. Sonic's, Tails, and Amy's pupils were missing. It was really starting to freak me out. I went to look at Knuckles, and his head and arms were missing. I scrolled over the Big Cat and E102 Gamma, but nothing had changed on them. They were still boring as fuck. I began thinking this was not normal, and chose to play as Tails. When I got into the game, it froze and loaded back to the main menu. I had wondered why it sent me back, and tried to play as Tails 2 more times, each doing the same thing. I stopped to play on Tails, and went back to Sonic, but then the game shot cream on my chin. Now Sonic was glitched. He started having erratic movements. I made my way back to Station Square and got into the first level, Emerald Coast. Sonic's running animation had gotten worse, and when running on the beach heading for the first ramp, Sonic fell through the ground and died. The level restarted, and as I jumped past the same spot with a spin dash, I fell through the dicks. Then Sonic's animation started spizzing and jizzing out more than its regular speed, and died. I'm wondering what's going on and why can't I get past this area? I tried again this time, and I used a spin dash to skip to the next loop and made it finally after multiple attempts. I made it to where Tails is, but then the game started lagging like it's under an extremely heavy load. That's actually the story. Tails is there, but he was laying face down, taking it prone bone style. I was thinking, is Tails dead? And I continued on, but when I got to Tails, Sonic froze in his tracks. I couldn't control him. He just stood there staring at Tails' body with a major hard-on, and then the game crashed to the desktop. What happens next brought me to full erection. I restarted the game and loaded my save file. Now things have changed again. Sonic, Tails, Amy, now their hands are gone, and their eyes are still missing their pupils. I found this... I know. I looked again, and they were completely shorn of pubes. I found this rather unsettling, but I continued and I chose to play as Sonic again. The game loaded up inside of the first level at the very end where you could find Tails. Tails was still laying there, and his model was covered in red period blood. Sonic had done complete level animation, but he didn't say anything, and as parts of his model were still missing. My grandma called down and asked if I wanted cookies, and I threw a knife at her. The game cut the black. I'm sorry. That I tried to go to character select. She didn't dodge it. Select and play as Sonic, but it wouldn't let me play as Sonic, same as it did with Tails a while ago. I then tried to play as Tails, but that didn't work either. I then chose to play as Knuckles, and the game loaded the same as it normally would, with a GIF of 2 Girls, 1 Cup. I expected the game to go back to the main menu, but instead it loaded the playing, starting the bonerific balls, but sounds and voices sounded very broken, like bits and pieces of my own butt, to the point where that it almost was not understandable, kind of like how I'm rambling on right now. I then started playing, and headed for the first level for Knuckles to Story Casinopolis. Holy shit, but it did not load in the level. Instead, it loaded up the pool area. I then went to Emerald Coast to find that the level loaded. I decided to try and play the level, but it's surprisingly easy to... I think this guy is slowly going into a seizure as he's like writing this shit, because I feel like it's more and more unlegible. play, then I started skipping large amounts of the level using his gliding. When I reached the end of the level, there were tons of naked chicks who wanted to suck me off. Headed for the crash side of the game, started hanging graphical issues. Knuckles' model was stretching and stringing out strange ways. I reached the crash site and saw a destroyed Tornado and Tails standing there. His model was covered in red, and his hands were jagged and crushed. His tails were stretched and mangled, and his eyes were the same as before, just white. Whiter than jizz. Way whiter. Way. You're actually just shining right now. That's all I see is just an angelic shine. Just before I reached Tail, just kidding, Knuckles fell into the ground, and the game background started flashing black and red. I broke into a seizure and started foaming in the mouth and woke up 6 hours later to write 2 more shitty paragraphs. What just happened as I thought to myself? I left my PC for a short while and tried to think about what just happened since this. What I saw sent chills down my butthole. I think I started thinking, did I cause Tails to die after skipping the first level? I got back to my PC and was back at the main menu for Sonic DX, but the music wasn't playing. I then decided to play more and figured out why this was all happening. I went back to the character select screen, and Sonic's model was normal. I then moved on to Tails. I jumped from what I seen his model was like before at the crash site, and his head tilted nearly upside down. I then chose to play as Tails, and the game loaded, but it skipped the first cutscene that led up to the crash, and being saved by Sonic, but Sonic was not there, and it showed the mangled mess of Tails. I couldn't bear looking at it. I then ended the game, then deleted that save file. Ever since the game worked as normal. Nothing like this has ever happened again, but I won't ever forget the first time I jerked off to gay porn. I'll still play this game and do those glitches again and again, but I gotta go for now. I gotta catch the short bus. Oh my god.
I can feel it now. Something's controlling me. I can still think, but even now, even my thoughts will disappear soon. I see nothing but destruction everywhere. The worms are appearing, with me just obliterating them. The lizards are here too. They're the Gorn from Star Trek, with them suffering the same fate. Fuck you, Gorn. I see rips in times and space. Some of them even spit out boxes. But why? My soul's being transmitted between 7 people, and each of them have their different abilities that I can control. They keep on referring to someone named Sonic, who is apparently dead, because fuck him, he's dead. Don't give a shit. God damn it! Apparently dead Sonic. Cliche number 1. But I hear nothing else. I either keep falling down pits, or I keep getting killed by one of those damn time rips. I can vaguely remember how this came to be. It was a day like any other. I was playing my newly acquired PlayStation 3, and I had gotten for Christmas. I wasn't having a very good time though. I was playing Sonic 06. Sorry. A little bit of cancer right there. I was playing Sonic 06, which is widely known to be the, well, worst Sonic game of all time outside of Sonic Boom. I was at the final boss, and I was so close to beating it, but I guess I wasn't paying enough attention to my ring count. And I had died on my last life. I'm not even fucking with you. The guy puts 3 periods there like, holy shit, he died? What? Wait, I need to add something else. ... What am I thinking? And he had no more lives. Fuck that kid. I thought, oh well, I will continue from the boss. Because he's brain dead. Apparently the game had glitched and my progress wasn't saved. We get 3 more dots by themselves as if we're in some sort of retarded anime in a creepypasta, and I stared at the screen for 5 seconds until Sasuke and Naruto started fighting. My progress said 0, but Sonic was getting his ass kicked, ooh. And I have gone through the end of the world just to make it back. I spent a good hour on that level alone trying to beat it, and it was luck that let me beat it. Something in my body clicked, and I knew what I had to do. Without uttering a single sound, I got up, turned off the PlayStation 3, and I walked into the living room and laid down, not uttering any sounds. Because that's something people do. Eventually falling asleep. No! Just the sound of me screaming at the top of my lungs a shadow. I missed a jump and I fell to my doom. I dream was something I remember more vividly. I was running through to an open field as Sonic. Okay, what the fuck am I reading? Is this some sort of porno that someone sent to me as a Sonic fan fiction? You naughty, naughty boy. Anywho, I was running through the field as Sonic. I was just minding my own business. Suddenly, a giant meteor struck the area about 5 miles ahead of me. I sped towards it. The area was remarkably different from the last that I had been through before. In fact, the area looked almost like Knuckles' part of Endworld. Okay. Of course, me being Sonic, I was platformed through it. I was grammared. When I reached the end, however, I saw not a Chaos Emerald, but a figure with its back to me. It looked like Shadow, but the spots that were supposed to be red and gray were like Mephiles. I tried to run the other way, but an invisible wall blocked my way. When I turned back around, Mephiles was staring right at me, with Shadow kneeled down to the right in front of him, grunting in pain. He looked like he was in a Sonic fan fiction. Mephiles stared looking at me and took the Chaos Emerald down and used Chaos Control, suddenly freezing everyone and everything, even me. Mephiles walked slowly up to Shadow and looked him down and then sidekicked him into the pillar off in the distance, I forgot to mention. I walked and I watched in shock as Shadow flew into the pillar, knocking it down. Mephiles looked at me and smiled an evil smile. Can we, like, let me just have a little bit of a gripe here. Don't say evil smile. I don't know what the hell evil smile looks like. Describe the smile and then say it reminded you of something evil. Like, the smile was wide and curved upward in a way that seemed almost insidious. Don't just say evil smile. Evil smile doesn't mean jack shit. Ah! And he teleported away, taking me to him. He teleported me to a far-off platform with Shadow there too. Mephiles begun walking towards him, and Shadow begun to try to stand up, only to fall over because he's a scrub. Sonic, run while you can. He's gonna kill you after he kills me, because he's totally trying to kill you, not because he's in front of Sonic right now. And you're off in the distance to some pillar, and he's gonna kill you, of course. I heeded his advice and ran in another direction. I looked back once, and when I did, I saw Mephiles kick Shadow in the gut one last time before Shadow stopped moving. Okay, am I reading some sort of, like, gory fan fiction? I mean, this is terrible. Mephiles threw him into the water, and then he looked at me. I ran as fast as I could in the opposite direction, running over robots, Iblis worms, and Iblis lizards, and back into the field from before him. I saw Elise clasp her hands together as she looked behind me. Soon after that, I felt something pierce my chest, and I saw the TV in my living room once again. It didn't take long after my eyes were opened to realize something was amiss. Play no one will buy my shitty game! Something was chanting, something in my ear, but I couldn't make out what it was. I looked at the time and I realized it was midnight. I needed something to put me back to sleep. Play me, this is a Crappypasta, you fool! I couldn't go anywhere because this is a story that is shitty and a creepypasta. And that voice kept on going. It probably sounded like a little girl on top of Jeff the Killer giving him a blowjob. It felt like something stuck in my head, with the same phrase being repeated. Play me, He-Man! Play me, you fool! I went into the kitchen and then grabbed my milk. What the fuck am I reading? I'm not even making this up. I went into the kitchen and grabbed my milk carton because it was milk time, and I warmed it up. It was the only thing I knew that would put me to sleep quickly. Play me, He-Man! Play me! Literally, it just repeats the same phrase over and over again. Play me, He-Man! I'm adding the He-Man part, but you get it. As I slipped a glass of milk time milk, I started to grow tired again because I'm like 4 years old, and it's milk time, baby. Play me, He-Man, it says once again. I started to close my eyes. The game case for Sonic 06 started to glow, but I barely noticed it since my eyes were soon shut after. It's fucking milk! What do you put in there? Viagra? I don't know. Okay, then the story says, play me, play me, play me again, you fool. Oh my god, please stop repeating that. I heard something rattling. Rather a weird whooshing noise almost. And I heard it a couple times, but soon enough, I had fell asleep again. I had fell asleep again. I can tell you so many better words used. I did fall asleep again. I had fallen asleep again. I started to fall asleep. I had fell asleep again. Because I'm 4 and I need milk time because it's the only way I can sleep. I got diabetes and I need insulin. You will pay for not listening to me, He-Man. The dream picked up where it led off before. I looked down and I saw a beam that had gone through my chest, just barely missing my heart. Mephiles pulled the beam back and I fell to the ground, down in all fours with my ass presenting in a very voluptuous manner. Holding on to my life, Elise was still collapsing her hand, being as useless as ever because she's a freaking human in Pokemon 06. The video game by Sonic Team. I told you to play the game. Play Sonic 06. Play it, play it, play it. You fool for not listening to me, and now you must play the ultimate prize. You must play Sonic Boom. Now I rigged your mind to wake up when I tell you, so when I feel like it, you'll wake up, but I think you'll suffer a bit first before I let you go. What crack did I smoke before reading this? I mean, is it the brown kind that you get from blackpeoplemeat.com, or I don't know what the hell's going on here. My life is like, what's going on? Why am I here? What is this? He teleported right in front of me and grabbed a hole in my chest. I screamed loudly in pain. Mephiles made his hand into a fist, and then faster than I ever seen before, he punched me and fisted my hole. About 30 to 20 times in the span of 1 second. I almost came with excitement. 2 of my teeth fell out, and I even felt it on the outside world in some place. He then dropped me to where I was again, to where my heart was, again. I screeched in pain, just wanting him to wake me up. I could feel my insides being pushed in one spot. Don't you know I'm Kermit the Frog? Right before I was about to die. However, he stopped for some reason. This is okay, time to go, Batman. That's only a tiny morsel of my power. I think it's time to rise and shine, little Miss Sunshine. I was then slowly lifted from the dream world, sprawled onto the floor. I looked up and I saw the 06 box floating right above me. I was already in enough pain from the interdimension. This story is admitting why it doesn't work. From the interdimensional beating I'd gotten earlier. That's enough to make your creepypasta suck. Oh my god. So I, lowercase I, was a little wore out. It's like as the story goes on, the guy just stops giving a shit. And I couldn't move. You failed to play the game, He-Man. And now I'll take your sword. By the power of Grayskull, you play Sonic Boom. Suddenly, I glowed a cyan color. Oh my god. The image of blue-haired Goku just appeared in my head. Like if Silver was picking me up with his telekinesis and I was pulled onto the couch in a sitting position. The PS3 controller was slipped into my hands and the power button was on the the power button on the PS3 was pushed as a dark mist opened the disc cover shrouded. Did this guy actually try to write this? This sounds like a really bad angry video game nerd plot. All you need is dick and fart jokes, and this is a perfect episode of the video game nerd. The disc cover then closed on its own and the game started. Now loading appeared on the bottom right corner, and the voice spoke again. Now you'll feel true fear as you're stuck in Dimension 06. The load time took longer than usual, about 2 minutes or so. I could tell because the clock next to my TV read 1:10 when it was started loading, and 1:12 when it finished after that. Another load emerged, but this one was different. It was loading a level. Tropical jungle, find a Chaos Emerald. Chaos Emerald? That isn't normal mission in this level. I realized that Mephiles was manipulating the game. When the level finally started, I noticed a horrible sight. The character wasn't any of the characters in the game. It was me! The level looked exactly as it did in my dream, with all the enemies in the water, everything. I was scared to the point, but I pressed on the level exactly as I did the first time in my dream. Only about 3 minutes, and I soon reached the end and a text box appeared. Welcome to my domain, Sonic. Hey, man. Mephiles was standing there in the same position as it was in my dream, with Shadow there too, kneeled over. I ran over to them both, and then the level was completed, and my own little victory music. My rank was an S. Wow, way to brag about your interdimensional beating. My rank was an S. I don't know how. Afterwards, the cutscene started to play. It played out the same as it did in my dream, except with the in-game engine. Soon enough, the cutscene ended with me running off into the distance. Now a loading screen appeared, but this time it was loading a boss into Mephiles, dealing the final blow to Shadow and dumping him into the water. Mephiles came up in the bottom right. Run away from Mephiles! It spawned me in the same spot that it was about a quarter mile away from Mephiles. You'll never escape your fate, Sonic. Just accept it now. Okay, this is getting really hard to read. Yes, it's dialogue whenever I do a voice. Oh God. All right. I spin dashed away and ran out, stopping. I didn't even swing the camera behind me to check if Mephiles was in position. I just kept running. About 45 seconds in, I found Elise clasping her hands together. As soon as I passed her, Mephiles teleported in front of me and I lost control of my character. Well, aren't you going to homing attack me? Oh my God. How long is the story? I mean, seriously, I'm 17 minutes into this. Okay. Something about rings, and then it's finally time to end this. But before I do, I want to tell you something. Silver was a fool, a true one indeed. You saw what happened to Shadow, but not Silver, you'll see. I killed him back in the future. After Blaze sacrificed himself, I snuck behind Silver and threw him into the lava, and who gives a shit? After that, he attacked my character, killing him. What? After that, he attacked my character, killing him. Is he talking about himself or is he talking about my character? Because it would be killing me if you're talking about yourself. Or your character. You would have to do a possessive. When you say him, you're making it sound like, I'm gonna attack you. I died, I guess. After the screen faded black, something jumped out of the screen at me. I saw nothing but white. Whoa! It actually does say, wah. Sonic the Hedgehog. After another death, this time by Tails, he fell down a pit and an enemy hit him. When I opened my eyes again, I saw the utter chaos that it was. The end of the world. I knew exactly what happened. Mephiles had put me in the game. At first, I could move freely and look around. I knew why Mephiles had did this. He did this because not only does he crave destruction and evil humans, but he also craves suffering. He loves to see people cry, especially kids. Why the fuck would he care about kids? And he killed Silver and Shadow because he wanted them to suffer, and it took it a bit too far. He loves death. It is why he killed everybody, including me, like that Lego brick that killed the guy last week. I remember now. Right after I died in the game, I had a heart attack in real life. What is even happening? Okay, I'm just gonna skip to the final end. He could destroy time as Solaris and truly create a game over. And now my soul leaves with the truth. Video Gamer 1014. The shittiest Let's Player ever. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You just endured 3 stories. Now, I would like to quickly mention that I'm replacing the order because the story that I was originally going to do first, the first Sonic story, was so long and so bad, I think a lot of you get bored through it. So, we're going to put that at the end, which you already probably know, but just so you know, it'll be different than what I said I was going to narrate first. I'm sorry. You can kill me later. Anywho, let's read. How are you doing?
I'm not dead yet, but we're doing okay.
You got all that stories. All right, so what do you think of the story that you narrated? You know, like positives, you know,
well,
if there's any?
At first, you know, I didn't think that there would really, like, I didn't think you could really top the first one, you know what I mean? And,
yeah, that was terrible. That was like smoking crack.
It was good. Yeah, once you smoke crack, you never go back. So I've decided I'll probably just change my channel to just strictly Crappypastas from now on.
Are you serious?
That's all.
Was this a life-changing experience?
It was. It was one of those ones that just kind of opens your eyes to, you know, true penmanship. And
but about the actual story, however, how do you actually like feel about it? You know, like what were you thinking while narrating it?
I was thinking. I feel like I would rather be reading like erotic fiction. I think that would have been preferable.
Like.
Or I couldn't tell. I always felt like
what was the story that you narrated again? Was it like that Sonic DeadX thing? You said that you actually wanted to narrate that one, if I recall.
Yeah, I feel like the story.
No, I want to narrate, and you're just like, "Fuck you, I'm narrating it."
I just took it. I grabbed hold of it, and I read the shit out of it. Yeah, and you know, now I attend chemo 3 to 4 times a week, and I'm doing okay.
I'm trying to remember because we recorded Sonic DeadX last night. I'm trying to remember what it was like about.
I just because we made so many semen references, I just assumed the whole story.
Oh yeah, you did a lot of. I was laughing so hard.
Probably too many.
Like
too many
you were, I remember because you were like sitting there going like, what was that? You were talking about how Sonic was like sucking the big dick or whatever. I don't know.
A lot of
let's just say, okay. One thing I would like to say is that the series isn't really about spotlighting the bad stories. It's simply spotlighting the stories that had the intention of being good, but were just so bad that they needed to be recognized.
Yeah.
Basically, a lot of people write stories for us to narrate them and get our attention. And to be honest, I just feel that if you're gonna write a really bad story, it should be narrated and it should be pointed out for what it is. Mm-hmm. In order to know what's good in something, we also have to know how to understand what's bad about something. And Sonic, I think, has given me cancer.
It's essentially the asbestos of the writing, the fan fiction genre.
Yeah, I mean. Honestly, there are some really bad stories out there, and we could easily find more. So I remember when I was reading Sonic the Hedgehog, what was this one? It was Sonic the Hedgehog, The Craving of Death. Even that name, like, the guy was like, okay, what's scary? Well, Sonic, of course, is scary. He scares the shit out of me.
Sonic scares me.
What does everyone hate? Sonic 06? And oh my god, the story doesn't make sense. It sounds like it's a bloated fan fiction full of shit. You know, and it's just a terrible fucking story to begin with, you know? I hated it.
Yeah, I think the writers will get better once they, graduate 3rd grade and all that kind of stuff. Next year's gonna be a big year for them. Long division and various other things are gonna come into play.
You are so mean. You are so mean. You're just like, yeah, the graduate, you know. I mean, like, a lot of these people are just probably teenagers who've never attempted to write a story before.
No, they're good. I mean,
like, you get some people who write decent stuff, but a lot, I mean, like, if you're gonna write a story, a lot of things that really do stick out as a narrator is when you don't capitalize the I.
Oh, yeah, that's I.
And
like they just they wrote it on in like a text message at school.
Yeah, like I, like just a lowercase I, like, fuck you, man. If you're not gonna put effort into your story, I don't want to narrate this. What do you think of Splatoon Agent 3's death?
It got me excited to play Splatoon. I haven't played that yet, so I'm pretty stoked to get on.
Yeah, you're waiting to see Marie go psychotic through a window on your face.
That sentence was probably my favorite of all time. I mean,
it's on a plaque.
I think
when I hit 100,000 subscribers and YouTube's like, okay, what do you want to be written on your YouTube play button plaque? I'm gonna say Marie psycho face through window.
Through window, and it should just be on your banner forever.
And that's what my YouTube plaque button, you know, because when you get 100,000 subscribers on YouTube sends you like a plaque.
Oh yeah.
With the play button, and mine is literally gonna be Marie psycho face through window. Because like not many people break 100,000 subscribers, but damn it, I'm gonna waste mine on a sentence as stupid as that. Because you could
that would probably go on eBay for quite a bit.
That will go in. It'll be like
you should just make once you start selling merch, that would just be your merch shirt. Would just be a picture of like a shittily drawn Sonic in paint, and then just that quote on
it. Oh my God, we had a lot of. I was thinking about doing just entirely Sonic episode, like an entirely Sonic thing, but sadly Sonic is shitty, and I didn't want to overload you guys on Sonic. I hope that last story wasn't like too long, the one that was supposed to be first. So yeah, as I said, I moved the first story to the end. If you guys like what you see, or if you guys, like, please let me know if that story is too long, because in future I will shorten it, find shorter stories if that was too long or too boring or whatever. In the meantime, this has been your host, That Creepy Reading. This is Let's Read. He's a guy.
Thank you.
he narrates stories, and I'll be sure to have him on my channel for a guest narration soon. So
definitely.
If do you have anything last to say? Anything to promote yourself before you go?
I mean, creepypastas, science fiction, all that good stuff. And who knows? Now my favorite genre is crappypastas, so we might the channel's changing. It's constantly evolving. So stop on by at Let's Read.
All right, this has been That Creepy Reading, and we're signing off.
Adios.